Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews. And I said I was going to do a One Piece video. Okay, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and okay, you might not get the video released straight away, but I'm definitely doing a recording. I need to start putting this extra work in to get into a point of consistency, to kind of re-establish your trust in me to produce this content. So I'm putting the extra work in now, hopefully to catch up, to get into a regular routine of reviewing about 6 or 7 different series, and I'll build up from there and catch up in things I need to catch up on. That being said, this is a One Piece review, chapter 866 and 867. It won't be as detailed, but I'll cover the main things that I think about it, and we'll go from there. Let's start off with chapter 866, the Natural Born Disaster. So 866, the Natural Born Disaster, essentially is Charlotte LILIN. So it's the first chapter of the 2 chapters we really have of the background into Elbaf, and we introduced to a young Charlotte LILIN, 5 years old, put down as a human, so she's not a giant or half giant in any way, and she's abandoned by her parents. They leave her there with the promise of eating food, and we're told that the seas around that area are dangerous places. So they skedaddle and they go. We are also introduced or reintroduced to the stories of Dory and Broggy. We got them introduced so long ago about them disappearing and all these other things. And I really like the fact that Oda's gone back and reintroduced them, because that was our first introduction to giants, Dory and Broggy, Little Garden. So the fact that they reintroduced them was important. And then this also helped sort out the situation with Mother Caramel. So Mother Caramel essentially helped protect or help stave off the execution of the followers of Dory and Broggy as they got caught by the the Marines, and essentially she became like a holy mother, Mother Teresa-esque character in Elbaf. We don't get much introduction in this chapter or about connections. We do in this most recent chapter. I'm not going to discuss that now, but basically Mother Caramel or Sister Caramel is essentially like a special thing in Elbaf. She runs an orphanage called the Lamb House, and she essentially picks up like stragglers, people who don't have any home, and it's like a multi-species thing. This, for a lot of different reasons, is probably the main reason why Big Mom has her thing, as in like all the different kind of generations of people, different species of people that she has on her whole Kick Island and territory in general. We also introduced to the young, very young Hajruddin and his goal, and I like that again because that adds that I guess realness or genuineness to Hajruddin's story. He's been there for a while, he was young, and that's linked into Charlotte and his goals, and the fact that both Dory and Broggy and Hajruddin have met Luffy and the crew. I really like that. I thought it was pretty cool. Then we meet Yorl and Jarl, the oldest members of the pirates, the giants, and then we get this whole thing with Big Mom. So I mean, all these little bits and pieces are brilliant building blocks of things and story dynamics in the future, but it gives you an idea of hierarchy and structure. Essentially, they're not the same, or they haven't been the same for a while they've been waiting on Dory and Broggy. Hopefully something happens with Dory and Broggy and they can come back, but if they don't, this is where Hajruddin's going to step up and do his thing. Now the Charlotte little thing, there's like a lot of things that happens over this chapter, which essentially is bad parenting as far as I'm concerned. Now it's not to say that Charlotte is bad, so to speak. She's just a natural born disaster, and essentially she's too strong for her own good. I mean, at 5 years old, literally punching out and killing a grizzly bear with one punch says a lot about her physical strength at just 5 years old. And like things that she does is like she has good intentions, but she goes about it the wrong way, and essentially she's not taught any differently. So like, oh, she's a child, please forgive her, but you need to teach these children right from wrong, and essentially that hasn't happened. It's kind of, oh, forgive her, she's a child, and I guess that's kind of bad parenting. But to be fair, Sister Caramel isn't really a parent, so she's probably not that bothered about that thing. She just wants them to grow up, and it kind of shows, I guess, a naivety or as we find out in the next chapter, something on purpose, but I'm not going to get into that just yet. That being said, we are introduced to another little fact that Prince Loki is born at this time. I think that's important because we are not shown details of Loki, because that's going to be a thing later on. And the fact that we're just like name dropping him is an important little kind of tool or a trick by Oda, just to keep him relevant in our opinions, in our stories, even with a backstory as far back as when, you know, Charlotte was a child. And then we get onto the whole Simla thing. The Simla thing is a nutritious food. Essentially, Big Mom's a glutton, couldn't fast from the 7th day, and she went rampaging, literally destroying half the island, where Jarl had to step up and want to kill her, much to the dismay and objections of Sister Caramel. So yeah, that's how it ends. Ultimately, she's a beast, considering she's 5 years old and she did so much damage. She's a glutton, and she should have been taught better, which is why she is how she is now. Essentially, no one's taught her any better, so she does what she wants. She's a spoiled brat, and she just gets what she wants because she's a young girl now. Anyway, that is 866. Let's move on to 867. Chapter 867 was a wow in a revelation of revelations that made me just think, oh, so that's how that happened. Oh, so that's how that happened. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And asks a lot of questions as well. So let's talk about the obvious stuff that's there. Let's not talk about the implied. We'll leave that to the end. I'll talk about theories. So essentially, last chapter, Jarl was going to basically take out LILIN. Wasn't the case. LILIN kicked his ass, and basically because of those damages, Jarl died. Mother Caramel tried to kind of subdue the situation. She showed an ability, which essentially shows that she's the soul fruit user. Now, what happened after that is Jarl still wanted to kill her. Jarl is the other character, Mountbeard. And basically, Mother Caramel like, no, don't kill her. I will take her. We will go. So essentially, they left, much to the dismay of a lot of people. And LILIN was none the wiser. She didn't know what was going on. Essentially, part of the reason why Charlotte is how she is, the sociopath, the psychopath, the basically mass murderer that she is in her rages and her fits, she doesn't seem to remember what happens. So if she killed her son, she killed somebody else, she doesn't know. And like in this one, when she was 5 years old, she basically killed Jarl Fullbeard and just didn't even realize. Like, oh, what happened to him? Did he die? What happened? And nobody none the wiser. They kind of remedied the situation with Simla and the actual Prometheus type of character called Pandora. Essentially, that's more than likely where she got the idea from. So next we see Mother Caramel, or Sister Caramel, essentially is on a different island to set up shop, and then something interesting happens. We see Marine World Government banners, and then we see a conversation with, I guess is a CP0, I believe, talking to Sister Caramel. We get the revelation that Sister Caramel is effectively a child slaver in the guise of an orphanage. Every once or two, every year or two, she sells off a child who holds potential. And this time they've come around for Charlotte LILIN. Charlotte LILIN has been touted to have the ability of potentially of an admiral or a fleet admiral. So essentially, this is the way of the Navy to get people to join their ranks. Bearing in mind, if you look at the last two chapters, she did mention about pirates. So essentially, this was doomed to begin with. But we also get told about the whole thing with John Giant. So because of Sister Caramel's connections, I guess, she was able to kind of send the Giant there. The Giant became an admiral. John Giant, as you know from the Paramount Wars or the Marine-Ford War, is an admiral in the army of giants. As you know, the world government wants giants, experimenting with giants, and so I guess this kind of thing happened. Now, here's the crazy thing. This happy birthday thing was Charlotte's birthday. They bought her loads of similar. She enjoyed it so much. She had the love of her eyes going along. And essentially what she did was lose control. At one point she even mentions that she essentially He was even chomping on the table, but that was the day that everyone vanished. Now here's the thing. Did they vanish because of CP0s or the CP's interference, or was it literally a case of LILIN went berserk and ate everybody? This can help lead to the credence potentially that by eating a devil fruit user, you essentially can take their powers, because she's got a soul fruit, she had the soul fruit. Or is this a situation where in a battle where CP0 essentially betrayed Sister Caramel, know of the way to transfer devil fruit ability, fed that to Big Mom, and that's how she's got the ability. So there's some things that can be implied from that we don't really know. So that's all we get from this, and then it kind of goes back to Big Mom having this big fit back into current timeline, which is the end of the Elbaf flashback for now. So we got a glimpse of Elbaf. We're probably going to get more with Prince Loki in the future, but that's a brilliant introduction and backstory. Now, there's something that kept coming up that I really want to keep touching on, and it's to do with the Warriors of Elbaf, it's to do with Yor and Jarl, and it's to do with Kaido. Looking at this, I cannot help but just say that there's too much of a connection, there's too much of a similarity between these members of Elbaf and Kaido. Number one, he's probably as big as Yor and Jarl. Number two, their dress sense, and if you look at the way his hair grows, it's a lot like from the back. If you look at the kind of coats the Yor and Jarl wear, it's a lot similar. The horn situation is a lot similar. The ship situation, that if you look at the designs of the ship sails of the Elbaf warriors, the ships, even the one that Sister Caramel took, it had the horns much like Kaido's. This leads me to believe there's either a lineage situation with Elbaf, or he's based on the genetic experimentations of the world government and he rebelled, much like Charlotte was taken by the world government and she rebelled to be a Yonko. That's that. Another thing I want to touch on with this chapter, it is going on, it's going to be a long video, is the fact that she was predicted to have powers similar to a admiral or a fleet admiral, and now she is Yonko. Now there's so many conversations and so many theories about power levels and things like that. Is this Oda's hint to kind of say that, look, a Yonko is essentially top admiral, fleet admiral level or thereabouts? Is it comparable? It seems that way. Nothing has been confirmed by Oda, but it looks like a subtle hint, and that's possibly going to be the case. That being said, that is my review, a long one if you add everything together, but like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. This will probably be up later, possibly in the morning or whenever I get a chance, but I will get this up as soon as I get a chance, and I'll see you next time. Peace.